Welcome to SoCal Sports Report's 94th live podcast. I am John Stillman, joined tonight by Vince. Vince isn't here tonight.
No.
I'm just so used to saying Vince Morales.
Yeah.
Jake Formansky, John Adams on board. We've got a full load of events to talk about, so we'll get right to it. Got to go with the Tyler Skaggs' latest fiasco. This thing is just out of control now. I think it's gonna go. It could go all the way to Artie. Could go to the top. I mean, people had to know what was going on. You can't tell me that people didn't know he was. Somebody like Trout, who's his best friend and roommate. I mean, he doesn't know that the guy is on illegal drugs. I mean, this is beyond belief. I mean, sure, we know he's on pain medications. We know he had shoulder surgery and Tommy John, but according to the PR guy who was opened up to the DEA, Skaggs has been doing this for several years, and his wife didn't know anything about it. I mean, these drugs, I don't think these are drugs that you can do on the road for 2 weeks and then just shut down at home, not do them so nobody sees you. I don't know. I'm completely confused. You guys give me a hand. What are your thoughts on this whole relevation?
I think they're in big trouble, like you said. I think with Eric Kay coming out and spilling everything out, this is not a good look for the Angels by any means. The thing that was kind of weird, and I don't know, but when he died, you just knew something was up because they didn't come out right away and say that it was a heart problem or something like that. So then it was kind of made you think, okay, was it suicide? But then later you're going, okay, he was hurt a lot, pain meds, it's got to be something. But for, and I know a lot of, not to name drop, but a lot of the people that, my dad worked with was Eric Kay and Tim Mead and some of the names that are coming out there. And I've known those guys for a long time. I hope that, they're both telling the truth that they didn't know, but I think the Angels are covering themselves because for a player not to know, I mean, you're with your players for 6 months out of the year.
Exactly.
And you're going to say that there was no signs. And then Kay comes out and says, oh, he was snorting 3 lines of, the opioids right in front of me. Oxycontin. It's like, come on. So I don't know. I feel like the Angels I don't think this is going to hurt their managerial status. I don't. I think Joe Maddon's already coming. I think all these managers knew that we're getting interviewed, knew about that the information was going to come out. But I think, they already said that Major League Baseball might get sued. The Angels are definitely going to get sued. I think this is going to last all the way up to probably the regular season, and there's going to be heads that are going to be rolling.
Well, I think Eric Kay mentioned Tim Mead.
Yeah.
And but those guys came out and said I had no clue. And you know what?
Well,
to be honest with you, I kind of agree. I don't know what every there's a lot of kids on that roster. It's not like I need to know every single thing that's going on. I mean, if I looked at a kid and I found out that, you don't look right, or you don't, you're not acting the same you used to, well, all of a sudden now my eyebrows are going up and I might want to investigate what the heck's going on and breaking you down. But if there's no sign of anything, then, there's no sign of anything, and you just think it's just your everyday basis, like, let's go out and pitch. And now, there's a lot of things that are going on. First of all, this was all going down in Texas, so the rules in Texas are a little bit different than they are in California, right? So that's going to be, and they hired a Texas a lawyer, right? The family did. I think it's, and Jake, you know this better than anybody. It's a good old boys club, right? This team's a team, right? And unless you got an idiot that doesn't care about anybody else, everybody's going to keep this under a tight lip, and they're just going to say, look at okay. So let me look at it this way, right? You're Mike Trout, right? and you go off and say, well, Mike Trout's probably different. Let's just say you're, I don't know, just Simmons, right, or whatever, and you go out and say, yeah, I saw it the whole time. I told him 15 times to stop doing that, right? But I knew the whole time, and you didn't tell management, you might not have a job, right? Because you're not being loyal and saying, hey, look at, but I think they try to do it on themselves. So they come up and say, hey, Tyler, that's not good. Like, you shouldn't be doing that, right? And I just think it's like these guys go to their separate rooms, and it is what it is. The bad thing about it is why is Kay getting involved here? Like, this guy can go buy that stuff off the street. Go buy it off the street if you got a problem with it. But when you got somebody internally giving you these drugs, then that's a big problem. And that's where Artie's going to have a lot of problems, because I guarantee you no upper management really knew about what the heck was going on, because if they did, they would have nipped it in the bud ASAP,
so.
right? So here's this stuff that's being hidden, and this guy's supplying, drugs on the back end of some things, and I think if I read right, he was doing it with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
Eric
was doing
Carey
it
said
with
he's
it,
been
right?
doing it with them for several years.
Yeah.
So it's in California. If this was done in California, then they can go after a guy like Kay. They can hold him accountable for a lot of this stuff. But in Texas, it's on the lower side of a lot of laws. It's not as strong as it is in California. So this death happening in Texas is actually probably going to be better for Kay than it is when it's in California. But I agree with you, John, that if they find out that this kid was ever pitching on this while he was on the mound, then it's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems for the Angels. I think it's just going to be a deal where, they have insurance. The family's going to go after him. They're going to cut him a check, and it is what it is. But, I don't think we're going to find out the full end of this thing probably till the end of about this time next year.
DEA says they're going to get to the rock bottom of it. Kay would be in trouble too, just for illegal.
So
purchasing illegal,
and they gave him a leave of absence, paid leave of absence. But until it's America, right? Until you're proven guilty, right? You're still gonna be on this, because then he can go after him in discrimination, and he could probably go up and say, oh yeah, I gave him opioids three days before he OD'd. I don't know if those were the ones that I gave him. He could have bought those ones off the street.
Yeah, well, he said he didn't give them to the day he died.
So then all of a sudden you got this he said, she said thing, right?
Yeah.
But him coming out and saying, yeah, I've supplied him with them, but I don't know if it's the ones that he took.
Yeah.
So there's all this little gray matter. So, I think it's going to be a lawsuit against the Angels. The Angels are probably going to pay. Kay is probably, obviously, we talked about this weekend, he'll never get a job in baseball ever again. He'll be, after this is all over with, he'll be let go, obviously. And he was, 24 years?
24 years.
Right? I mean, so, it's sad, that a kid like that with all that ability is going to that direction to try to just for pain relief, and not going to the organization going, look, I am not good. Like, I'm in a lot of pain. I need something to help me. That's legal.
Exactly.
And he's that, so people make choices. It's a bad choice. He cost him his life, and again, I'm not shocked that his wife didn't know. It really, unless the kid's coming home hiring a kite and just off the, then you can take a step back and go, wait, who are you?
I don't know you.
I don't know you. You're flying off the, and this guy's, on a cloud nine because he's feeling no pain. If there was anybody that saw that and actually physically saw him doing the lines, then yeah, you should voice your opinion. But I have a feeling it's a good old boys club, and they're just these players want to stay as far out of it as possible.
I just can't believe that Kay said we've been doing this thing together for several years. You can't tell me nobody knew? I mean, if I'm even another player or a trainer or somebody and I catch wins, I'm going to,
Well, it's going to be interesting with the
something
5
about
players that they report that were on the Angels at one point. So that's where it's
5 more
players. So that's where it's going to be interesting to see who those guys.
Those
really
will come
were.
out.
Oh yeah, no, those will probably come out soon.
Yeah.
So, it's not looking good, and I hate to be that guy again, but it's like, and Angel fans really think we're going to get a big name free agent. Why would you want to come here? If you're Garrett Cole, why do you want to be surrounded by this? And how are we going to have enough money to pay somebody like that when we're going to be in a bunch of legal fees too? So I don't know.
That's totally different. Your insurance.
Insurance
will take care of a lot of that.
I don't know.
That has nothing to do with your payroll.
How far up do you guys think it really went? I mean, would Epler have known?
Nope.
No.
I think it just went as far as maybe the
the
locker room staff, maybe
clubhouse, maybe
clubhouse people. I seriously, I think Tim Meade's been with that organization since day one, and now he's with, I think, Major League Baseball, right?
Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame. I wouldn't be surprised if he had no clue. It wouldn't shock me one bit. I mean, if you're supplying drugs to a pitcher like that is that powerful, somebody's got to hear that and go, no, we got to stop this, right? You don't go, oh, just throw it under the table and not talk about it.
Why would Eric K? He said we've been doing it for years
because
together.
I think he's a good old boy. I think he's just like, hey, can you get me some? Yeah, no problem. I can get that
guys.
for you. Because I think this kid was in a lot of pain, and he's like, hey, what can I get to take? Oh, you know what? I've heard Oxycontin will take care of that problem. Hey, can you get me some? Yeah, I can go. Because he wants to be one of the boys.
And he was a drug addict before too. I mean,
He what now?
He was a drug addict before.
Oh,
So-
Eric K. I didn't know that.
So I mean, so there's a lot of like, yeah, you're in management and you're probably dealing with a lot of suits and ties, but hey, look, in my first heart, I'm a baseball player. I love baseball, and if I can hang out with some of the boys, I mean, so
I still find it hard to believe that none of the players had any clue, or
again,
none of them went to him and said, "Hey, listen,
I
Tyler."
think they did have a clue, but they just don't speak about it. They're not going to, unless they sit them down and they put them right in front of a camera and they make them spill their guts. You're not going to hear a peep.
But why don't you go to the guy and say, "Hey,
That's a personal thing. You got to
off."
go to the guy and go, whoa, what are we doing
Yeah,
here? Like,
exactly.
you need to stop that. But it's a drug, and it puts him in a place that actually he feels no pain. But as a player, you've got to go to the team or go to a doctor and say, I don't feel good. I'm feeling this. What can I take to take care of this? Or go up and go, guys, I got to sit out a year, or whatever it takes, right? But if he's sitting there in a situation where he thinks somebody has told him that said, it's never going to get better. You're always going to be in pain. As long as you pitch, I can't do anything to help you. Then that's possibly this angle that you take this to do it, but he should know the ramifications of what this drug can do.
You got to realize it's a
you
killer.
could actually kill yourself doing this, and that's where I'm wondering. A kid that's probably really not educated. I guess my question is, how many? And you can never answer, but how many times did he do this prior to this? Because if he knew what it could do, he shouldn't have died. Like he probably, if he's been doing this for the last 7 years or 5 years of his life, he should know how much he can take.
Well, he's doing the alcohol with it wasn't smart either.
Exactly. But he should know that.
Yeah, he should.
Or was he just so loaded he didn't know?
And to John's point too, I mean, what happens in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse.
Right.
And I think with how toxic that clubhouse was, from some of the rumors that I was hearing, just from people that are still with them, it was toxic from day one. So I felt like with how bad they were playing, I don't think this was something that they wanted to get out because of just how the season was going, to start.
So California law it's called the standard. Like, so in Texas, law enforcement officials say that along with no evidence with any, so they had no clue, no evidence responsible for Skaggs' death, the point of the murder manslaughter charge. However, civil liability has a much lower bar than California. In California, there's a standard called comparative fault. That means another party can be held liable even if only partial liable. So obviously much stronger here, but that does happen in Texas, and I think that's why they hired a Texas lawyer. Plus, I think he's from Texas. Is he from Texas?
Yeah, he's from Texas.
No, he's from Santa Monica.
Skaggs from Santa Monica,
yeah.
Oh, Skaggs, yeah.
So,
well, it was I'll never forget when I think our first podcast after he died, I remember Vince saying, "Boy, I just hope it was a heart attack or something natural, and nothing messy like drugs." And here it is. I'll tell you, it's going to be interesting, and like you say, it's not going to help in the free agent market. It's going to,
I don't think it's going to. I just think there's a lot of other issues with that. I think Vince is right, where Epler's probably going to be the one who needs to go.
Yeah, I think Epler's on a hot seat.
On a
right
hot
now.
seat.
Well, he
He's
is.
got
They
about one-
didn't-
He's got about 1 year.
He's got
1 year. They didn't. They just
No.
extended him. They
Yeah.
didn't.
It's exactly what they
re-up
did
him.
with Sosha, right?
Yeah.
No extension.
Yeah.
We'll just kind of see how it goes.
Yeah.
But and if we're going to keep on the Angels and grab our crystal balls and hope the Colts come and we can afford it. I look at let's just fast forward. Epler's gone, right? Epler's gone. Like, who do you go out there? Who's out there as a GM or just a team that you would go after their GM and see that would be a good fit for the Angels? Where would you go? You can't go to Oakland, right? Because that's Billy Bean, right? And Billy Bean.
Guy got fired in Boston. Who was it,
Dave
Dombrowski?
Dombrowski. I'd take
right?
Dombrowski in a heartbeat.
You would.
I would.
Okay. So let me. Okay, that's a great possibility, right? But why are the Rays? The Rays are there almost every year.
They are.
Right? And you could
And
probably
Oakland
go,
too, yeah.
what's going on with their GM? He obviously has a great scouting system and brings good kids in, and they just get to a point where they can't afford him anymore. Right?
Exactly,
So
yeah.
they let him go. But his scouting system, they're
yeah.
bringing up ball players, and
Yeah.
they're competing in Tampa Bay with the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox.
Yep.
Somebody to seriously think about,
No, it's true.
you know? These little small markets that are really, the Rays, that's somebody I would think about. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know who the GM of the Rays is. I didn't look it up, but somebody to seriously think about, because I don't think you're going to have to pay him the Dombrowski kind of money.
No.
Right? And you think he wants to be in Tampa Bay? No way.
Where there's 42 people in the
Right.
seats.
Oh, yeah.
That guy can be, I don't know. That's just somebody I would seriously think about. So,
Talking about Garrett Cole, who 7 shutout innings tonight in that
Yeah.
win. Why wouldn't you go to the Dodgers? Why would you come to the Angels? The Dodgers are going to be out looking for a number 1 starter.
well, and again, yeah, why not? But
Southern California,
and
but-
you go to the National League, but I guess I think that it's going to come back to who's got the most money. I mean,
And
he's going to get whatever he
Yeah.
wants. His last 25 starts, he's 18-0 or 19-0. I mean, and that's including postseason wins.
So the Angels have to outbid the Dodgers, basically.
But
Yeah.
but the Dodgers also, though, they're not going to – I don't think that – I mean, last offseason they didn't open up the wallets either.
No.
So they're
Well, Machado during the trade deadline.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think that's kind of the move they like to do anymore. I think they're kind of more of like how Oakland and Tampa Bay does it. Let's get 2 guys for our 1. 2 guys that are kind of close to the guy that is leaving. And I just don't. I think the Angels, they're gonna have to open up the pocketbooks, but I think the Dodgers, their biggest thing is they need to start. Unfortunately, I know Vince is going to get upset by this, but they need to start getting rid of some of their young talent to get, in a trade to get some of these big name pitchers.
Well, yeah,
Or they keep their young talent and get rid of the Pollocks and
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe some of these other guys,
Yeah.
right? That can be replaceable. That kid Lux is a great player.
Oh my gosh.
That kid is somebody
Yeah.
I would not get rid of him.
No.
But
No,
I
they
mean,
were smart.
I think
That's
that's a now all of a sudden you can put Muncy at first base and put him at second base.
Yeah.
And I mean you got a solid.
There goes your platoon second
right?
baseman.
And then you've got a couple. But I just don't know if some of these outfielders some of these outfielders you can probably get rid of, right? If
Jock
that's if you're
Peterson.
going to keep Bellinger in the outfield, right? And then
Peterson.
You got Jock Peterson. You got the because I would keep the kid that got hurt late, the rookie that came up that I thought was going to have a good year and he got hurt late. Verdugo, right? So I think, and I don't know what's going on in the minor leagues, but I mean it's somebody to think about. Now that's what I would do. I would kind of gather up some of those big boys and and be honest with you, Vince probably won't like this, but if Lux can play third base, trade Turner.
Yeah, Turner's not going to be. I mean, he's 35.
Yeah,
Justin Turner?
Yeah.
trade him to the Angels. We need a third baseman. So or we'll pick up the option or whatever it is, but it's what's really kind of interesting, and I know that we're going to get into this a little bit, but Clayton Kershaw pitches like he's a 3 pitcher, he's not no ace anymore, right?
I think he's a 4.
Well, I mean, it's just it's sad.
At least a
right?
3. Yeah.
But Walker Buehler is flat out just
No, he's a real deal.
He's lights
real
out.
deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's unreal. And if they can go out and get that number 2, right, and you're telling me now Kershaw is your 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's a solid. But again, I think we're going to go into the meltdown, right, and start talking a little about what the Dodgers is.
Yeah, we'll talk about stay on the Dodgers.
But when it came down to, I know that a lot of people are giving Roberts a bunch of crap for making bad decisions in the pitching, but you could tell right off the bat in certain situations he didn't know who to put in.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't feel comfortable about anybody in that bullpen, right? So when you look at it and you bring the Kershaw thing up, right? Kershaw had actually good numbers coming out of the bullpen, right? He actually, he didn't lose the game. He gave up the 2 runs a tie. One was actually a ball that was almost in the dirt.
It was a great
guy
pitch.
had a great pitch.
That was a great
the other
pitch.
one, he missed his spot, right? And that kid hit it out fast, right? But now the decision comes in the 9th inning or the 10th inning. This is where I don't understand. You go after Joe Kelly, who has been very inconsistent and poor the whole entire year, and that's the guy that you want to keep in the game. Why? Well, I want Jansen to be my closer, and the other guys that are out there don't really have a lot of experience. The problem was Maeda did a great job in the 7th. I would have kept him going. He's a starter.
Yeah, he's a starter. He can
and
pitch.
He
length.
can pitch
Give you
more,
length.
right? So I would have kept him in there and just kept him going. You're not until you see the the next you see the lineup for one time, right? Or if he gets in trouble, bring somebody in. But again, I would have kept Maeda in. I wouldn't brought Kershaw in, and hopefully he holds the lead until you can bring in Jansen.
Well,
but if after the tie thing, I would have brought in Jansen and said, hey, you know what? If we come out, you just stop them, and we'll try to win it in the 10th.
Kershaw shouldn't have gone back out there.
No.
He should have pitched. He came in, he did a job.
Yeah.
Then pitched Kelly for 1 inning.
Or Korlick, who owns Soto.
Yeah.
That's who he
Right.
should have done
Yeah.
matchup
Or
wise.
take Maeda all the way to the 9th,
Yeah.
and then let Jansen close it down, right?
Yeah.
But you could tell that they did not feel secure about anybody. When they've gone to the World Series, they've had a 7 guy, an 8 guy, and a 9 guy, right? And they don't have that,
Yeah.
And I started looking at Houston right now. Those pitchers are getting them into the 7th
Seriously.
inning, 8th inning. Like, this is great. Like,
Yeah.
they only have to expend a couple guys, right? They really haven't had to, well, other than the extra innings games. But I just didn't feel. But let's just go back a little bit. Also, the Dodgers left so many guys on base.
My gosh.
Their big hitters never
Show up.
actually did their job,
No,
right?
nothing.
So, you can point at Roberts making bad decisions with pitching, but your big guys never hit.
If
in tough
Bellinger's the
situations.
MVP, he stunk it up in the series. He
Right.
and
And
Seager was terrible.
Terrible.
And your
right?
big- and your big-
multiple times with bases loaded, and he didn't do anything, right? Muncy held his own, right? Peterson held his own, but
That was it.
Taylor nothing,
Taylor did
right?
nothing.
So Turner had a couple good games, but
they're one of the 2 guys that had the best average on the team were the guys that are retiring, Freeze and Martin.
yeah.
And it's like, your big free agent signing, AJ Pollock, who was 0 for 13 with 11
11
Ks.
strikeouts. Yeah.
Yeah.
My biggest thing, too, with the Dodgers, and it's just getting to be this day and age now, why are we having a pregame press conference, which I know they have to do, but why are we telling people what we're doing? Oh, we're going to go Buehler for 6 or 7, and then we're going to go right to Kershaw. If you're in the Nationals clubhouse, you're going, oh, guess we're seeing Kershaw tonight. Can't wait to see him. That's the part where it just bugs me. It's like, why are we telling everybody what we're going to do?
And-
Keep everybody on their toes.
And give it to the Nationals, right? Their big boys stepped
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Oh, they
Those
big
pitchers
time.
have stepped up when they needed to step up. And I was watching that game last night. They brought that kid in. It was 8-1 or whatever it was. And they said, yeah, let's just bring this kid in, get him some closing experience. 99, 101,
Yeah.
just 100. He threw one breaking ball.
Just
it was
painting.
like,
Oh,
here it comes,
gosh.
and it's coming 100 miles
Hit
an
it.
hour. Yeah, and they said his only issue is he walks a lot. Okay,
That is-
you got 7 runs you got to give up, and this guy's going to throw it 100 every time,
True.
and he's not even their closer. And here they are. We just found out they scored 7 runs in the first. You can't give those leads to those kind of guys. Like it's
Good to see Howie, though, step up, former
Yeah.
Angel step up.
Yeah.
he's really hit stride.
Yeah, he's delivered some key hits. Had
Yeah.
a few problems in the field, but
Mm-hmm.
he's made up for it.
He's a veteran. He'll make
Yeah.
that adjustment.
Anything you guys want to talk about as far
So
as
sorry,
New York
I know
and-
I went off a tangent. I don't
No,
know if
no.
you have anything to say about the Dodgers, but that was
Well,
kind of what
I think
was
that probably covers it. So Washington gets 7, so they're on to the World Series. Houston now is 2-1 on the Yankees,
Mm-hmm.
thanks to Cole. That series.
And Greinke got so now it's
Who's the number 4
is it
starter?
Miley or Wiley? Is it the lefty?
I think it's Wade Miley. Yeah.
Wade Miley,
It'll be
right?
Wade Miley tomorrow.
But
All right, now we're going to get on to one of John's favorite subjects. He wants to talk about the wonderful turnout of local support for the Rams and the Chargers this weekend in alleged home games.
Home games.
You were ranting before we went on the air.
yeah,
Continue that rant.
I just
Yeah,
I question if L.A. and again. The first one to say that Los Angeles has a lot of things to do on a weekend, right? They have a lot of places you can go, right? You have the beach, the mountains, you have, soccer, MLS soccer, you have college football, you have, baseball playoffs.
Now
that
you
were
got
going on.
hockey and
you got hockey
basketball,
going on
yeah.
right now, right? So you got a lot of things you can do, right? But I question this, they're building a billions of dollars of a football stadium, right? Is Los Angeles a NFL football team? And when I say that, that's just for one team, right?
City.
That's just the city.
Yeah.
Is it just for one team? Should Los Angeles have a football team? If so, why don't they get the support? This is a team that went to the Super Bowl last year. And what do Southern California people do? They jump on bandwagons like it's no tomorrow, right?
That's right.
So how is it not sold out? And then what happens? Couple losses, and all of a sudden, I don't want to go see them here. Now, I throw out a couple things. One is what the referees and what the NFL has done to rules and regulations of the football game. Is it a good product, right? Is it fun to go to a football game?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, there's already been 1,600 penalties thrown, 200 more penalties to this time last year. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And I heard it on my way down. Petros had a good point. He's like, simplify it. Okay, hands to the face. It shouldn't be 15 yards and a first down. It's 5 yards. You put your hands in the guy's simplify it. There's too many rules now in football. Like, what happened back in the day? The Butkus days, right? It's holding, it's personal foul. I mean, there's 6 rules you got to worry about, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, they had a Mike, I forget his last name, but he's used to be an official. Now he's in the booth, and he said change it to what college football does. Because if you're throwing a bomb, the NFL goes, well, we really want that long ball. Well, okay, but if in college, if this kid's going to catch a 30 to 40 yard pass, he's going to really try to catch that pass, because if it is pass interference, he only gets 15 yards. Where in the NFL, you bring it all the way down. Right, so
it's the spot of the foul.
Right, it's the spot of the foul.
Yeah.
So I think they need to simplify a lot of rules. But getting back to my take on the stance, there were 60% to 65% San Francisco fans in the Coliseum for a team who got to the Super Bowl last year. They can't even get the support, and they're the bigger name of the two.
Yep.
The Chargers are struggling immensely to try to sell tickets for that stadium. It's not even close to the number that they want to do.
No.
So, I think it's a one-town team at best. And I'm telling you right now, I know we're going to talk about the Chargers later. London is calling. Get the Chargers out of here. Get them to London. Get them to a city that's going to support them, because that game on Sunday night was embarrassing. There was people yelling defense, 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 and the Chargers were on O.
Yeah.
There's terrible towels everywhere, and they're chanting their fight song, and they're at home. And the other team, there's now players on the sidelines that know that the opposing side has more. They're going, keep it going, make it sound like a home game. It's just, it's not going to work. This is going to get worse when you put them in a bigger stadium. It's going to be more fans that can buy those tickets, right? So I really question if L.A. is actually a football town.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think it's a valid. You got some valid points here.
An NFL football town. I mean, I know you get support in the colleges and stuff because it's on the campus,
Yeah.
right? But is it a football town? Like an NFL football town?
One of the
I really don't know. I really don't know. And that showed a Super Bowl team the next year that had a lot of
On a
praise
prime
about
time
it.
day, too.
Has a couple slips, and doesn't win a couple of teams. And 65%. Not just that, it's your rival. Like it's.
yeah, exactly.
They're 6-hour drive away. That place was packed. Like packed. And it was the same way with Green Bay. When Green Bay was in there,
yeah.
I saw Rodgers going, let's go. We're trying to get the ball back. He's in LA. Like you don't see that in Green Bay. You don't see that in Notre Dame. You don't see that in Pittsburgh. You don't see it in Philadelphia. Like it's
New England. Can you imagine that happening in New England?
Oh, no, exactly.
Right, exactly.
One of I don't know which game
Doesn't
it was.
happen in Washington, and they're terrible.
And they're terrible. I
They're
know.
awful.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was like the thing
That was
too.
a
Like
that was a good toilet bowl this weekend.
that was
actually.
good. Yeah. And the thing that's also too, it's like even when they were in San Diego, how many blackout games they would have, the Chargers, because nobody would go to those games.
None.
Oh, and by the way, every person that you see in San Diego and you talk about the Chargers, they're like, get them away from here. We hate their guts. They got no San Diego support. The reason he took that to LA is because a majority of his season tickets were in North San Diego, Orange County, Riverside.
Yeah.
That's why he took it to LA. And guess what? They're not following.
No.
And it shows. I mean, really, as a business guy, buy tickets in this new stadium and sell them to Kansas City, sell them to the Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
Sell them to Denver. I mean, just sell them to Pittsburgh. You'll make good money. But I just don't think.
Which game? One of the games, I don't know which one it was. The visiting crowd was booing the cheerleaders off the field. I don't know if it was the Ram game or the Charger game, but the visiting.
It was probably Pittsburgh.
It was probably Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, but now the players are starting to lash out. Lamb said some things like he's just like, this is, these guys are coming from major collegiate teams where the Alabamas and whatever where they were like, what we're home, like this is a joke. The fight song starts getting played.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh
Yeah,
fight
the
song
fight.
starts
Yeah,
getting played.
yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? I mean, and now you're starting this year that Al Michaels was talking about it. He's like, this is a Pittsburgh home game. Flat out says it. He's true.
Yeah, it
You
was.
know?
Sure.
And the same thing, like, I don't know if these coaches want to just lash out and say this is, we got no support. It's hard. I mean, they're probably not going to do that. But like deep down inside, they're like, McVay's probably looking around going, this place is red. It's all red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy. So.
Especially on two nationally televised games too.
Yeah.
That's where if it can hide at a 10 a.m. start, but when it's on Fox and NBC and you're looking at all red and black, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just really question if it's like And by the way, the Chargers. I mean, the poor team is on the IR, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's hurt, right? And it shows, right? But I mean, that's a bad product that they're putting on. I mean, they're doing what they can, but I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we'll talk about the Chargers later, but I mean, the Rams issue is Jared Goff. I mean, if Goff is on, they win. And now they had.
I think Gurley really is making a huge major. I mean that's a crux of their problem. They had, they so much of their offense ran through him last year, receiving.
But if
running.
you notice, they don't have a play action. That's the whole
No.
deal. They have no play action. And McVay loves play action. He loves to go off of play action, and they don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And so now what are you doing? You're just, keying on those two things, right? It's stop the pass and Donald is not. I mean, good. Let me tell you, San Francisco's front line, defensive line is really really good.
Tipper
I mean,
Cup.
Yeah, that's a good,
give them
they're a
full
good team.
credit. That's a team that's really up and coming, and you can tell that being patient and getting those draft picks have actually
Yeah.
paid. I mean, all four guys are number one draft picks, right? So, and Bosa is just a superstar. So, but Goff is inconsistent. He's I don't think he's hitting his guys, and I think. It's almost like McVay's a little gun shy, to be honest with you, to call the plays. But Gurley healthy helps. But
I don't think we're ever going to see him healthy again.
yeah,
not the way he was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What do you think about the trade? They just picked up Jalen.
Yeah, they got rid of
Randall?
Peters, right?
Yeah.
And then they brought in Kelly, who was the UCLA kid.
Yes, for a linebacker,
right?
on that trade.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
And then they got a couple 2020, 2021 first-round draft pick, and what was the other one? It was a fourth-round, like 2022 or something like that.
Right.
For Jalen Ramsey, which is going to be great, right? It's going to be great. But again,
Still gotta score. You gotta score the ball.
Still gotta
points.
score.
Yep, exactly.
And Peters really wasn't doing anything either this year. It felt like, I mean, him and Talib were kind of nowhere to be found.
I felt like there was some laziness back
Yeah.
there, to be honest with you.
Especially on Sunday.
And that's what I noticed about the Chargers, right? The Chargers are like, Rivers doesn't have that sling anymore. He's not slinging it anymore. And they can't run the football. And I know we're going back and forth, but I think both teams are, it's almost like they got to revamp the whole entire thing. Just look at it again, because it's ugly in both towns, in the main town and both sides of the tracks.
Let's stay on football and give Jake a chance to glow over
I know
his
that-
Fighting
That
Irish.
wasn't a-
I know that I'm just going to step back and he can talk about his
30
Irish
to
and his
27.
It was a
Squeaker.
different kind of glow that I had on Saturday night. It wasn't happy, but
Ducks. Started out pretty good.
it started out pretty good. I will say, I'll tip my cap to Vince. USC's receiving core is pretty good.
Oh,
I
very,
mean,
very
they're
good.
very good. Pittman, Brown. I mean, those two guys alone, I'm like, holy cow. But I think a lot of it, and I was kind of listening to Petros some money yesterday, hearing Petros talk about it, a lot of it is their coaching. Because, I mean, they don't have bad players. But I feel like Helton is one of those guys where it's just, I feel like they just don't know what they're doing out there half the time. I mean, their defense, every time USC would score, Notre Dame would counter right back and either touchdown or field goal.
Yeah, I don't know if it's more the offense. I think it's more the defense.
More the defense, yeah. Because what Harold's doing,
Pendergrass has got he's gone.
he's got to go.
But I think the whole staff's gone.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
the
Like,
that-
let me just try to if they win out, does he keep his job?
God, he can't.
were they 3-3 now?
3-3.
10-3.
They play
at
at U of A.
UCLA.
9-3.
I don't know who else
They play U of A this Saturday. I think that's at home. No, it's at U of A. I don't know. I don't think.
They got any tough road games coming up?
I'd have to look at the schedule.
Playing at U of I'll give them a little bit of credit on the BYU game because that was actually a good game that they played. It's just,
Oh, and they held it against
They held
Utah.
it- yeah.
It's a great win
Yeah.
against Utah, right?
Yeah.
And then what I liked is that game could have got ugly, and it didn't.
Oh, no, it didn't.
And it didn't. And I think the kid Slovis is. I think that the biggest thing, if you want to look at it all, who's your starting quarterback next year?
I don't think it could be Daniels. I
Well,
really
that's what
don't.
Helton's always said.
I know.
He said, well,
You
Well,
need-
it's not going to be Daniels, so that Daniels goes right in the portal. So
You-
you better have somebody
you
coming
better-
up.
yeah.
Well, guess what? The kid that was coming up,
From
he's going to Alabama.
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 Right? So now all of a sudden, and Fink's a senior, or is he a junior? I don't know what Fink is, but seems like he's been there for
redshirt junior, I
13
think.
years.
Junior, yeah.
So,
He's his doctor.
and the other kid's a walk-on, right? So I like that they kept it competitive.
Yeah, no,
because I thought that was a ranked team that they on the road,
On the road.
tough environment, and I thought they did a great job. That could have got really ugly in the second half,
Should have.
and it didn't.
No.
And they kept it a ball game. That safety coming back actually for them has been really number 15. I forget he's a Samoan kid. He you could tell that was a crucial guy that they were waiting for him to get back and then so it doesn't throw any, he held on the ball when he had to. He didn't try to fire into tight corners. I mean, I thought he did a pretty good job, but again, when the Trojans do very well when they can run the football. If they can run the football, then the receivers are just wide open because they're just great on getting space, right? They're big kids, you can throw it up, but if you can't run the football, then you're going to struggle a little bit. So,
And they were doing a good job spreading out Notre Dame's defense too, and that's where I was getting a little nervous because I'm like, I know Notre Dame's got a couple, one safety that's out for the year and then a linebacker that's out, but it didn't feel like where Notre Dame. I was kind of waiting on Notre Dame to make the mistake.
me
Where-
too, yeah.
Where it was like, okay, our Tony Jones runs for 120 yards before the half. It's like, okay, it's working. Why fix it? Why change it? But, I thought Book, though, from a game manager standpoint, was a lot better than he's been in years past, especially during that rivalry. He wasn't trying to make stupid throws. He was kind of dinking and dunking. Elko, their offensive coordinator, needs to do a better job of realizing, look, I mean, driving home, I missed a little bit of the first quarter, but driving home, the Notre Dame announcers were saying USC's already out of breath. They're tired. And it's like, okay, if they're tired, keep getting them tired, but they just
what you were so successful doing was you were throwing to the tight end, and he was wide open all the time.
He's going to be an NFL guy.
But then it kind of stopped.
Yeah,
like,
then
and
it was
I'm like,
done.
why are you stopping him? You can't defend this guy.
No. Right.
And then they tried to, Kelly's trying to do something different. I'm like, if it's not broke, why fix it? Like,
exactly.
I was watching with my buddy Mel, and he's a Notre Dame guy. He's like, keep throwing it to him.
I know.
He's wide open.
Yeah.
And they just started going in the other direction.
Yeah,
all of a sudden,
have to.
Here they go. They're letting them come back into it. So, and UCLA had a great win.
Yeah, nice little.
They beat the bye.
Yeah.
Last week.
Who do they have this Saturday?
Stanford. And
that's a Thursday.
Up there.
And you got two quarterbacks that are questionable at
man.
best on both sides.
First one to 21 wins.
And Kelly's big news this week is that he got verbal agreements for 3 junior college transfers in.
3 junior college.
Junior college, yeah. A kid from Fullerton, a kid from Mount Sac, and a kid from Riverside City College. They got verbal commitments to and Kelly's comeback is what you're always looking for is can somebody make us better?
Really?
Fast? Yeah.
I never realized that.
And he says he references to receiver Jalen Irwin, who was proven to be productive in his first year with the Bruins, and he was a transfer in. Irwin has 20 catches for 242 yards as a JC transfer. So, again, not talking about 5-star recruits. He's talking about
junior college
JC recruits. So,
I think you got their Saddleback. They're undefeated right now. You think you get somebody from there?
Yeah, they just took a kid from Mount Sac who Saddleback just beat. So, but
all right, any more college or pro? Let's go to the.
Nope.
Let's go to the.
Clemson got beat. That was big.
Georgia.
Georgia got beat by South Carolina. Yeah, that was big.
Yeah.
So, all right. Sorry.
NHL's underway. Ducks 4-2, nice start. I really like what I'm seeing from Aikens. I like the speed game. I like the way they're blending the young kids with some of the veterans and transitional period. 4-2 is a good start.
Yeah, I mean, they're tough losses, but Jake's your Ducks guy. He'll be able to fill us in on even what's going on probably in the Great White North minor league system.
San Diego.
Skulls.
Yeah. I was there on opening night, and the ovation that Eakins got, you would have thought he won a Stanley Cup. I mean, it was a 2-minute standing ovation, and it was pretty cool to see. You could tell that these guys already, haven't missed a step.
They've already bought in, yeah.
And they've bought in, and Getzlaf looks like a little bit of a different player, even though he's had some bad last couple games. He hasn't been playing well, but I mean that line with Henrique, Terry, and Steele, Terry and Steele. I mean that could be a scary line if they get that relationship going. But I mean credit, but it's the same old song though. Gibson's been great. Miller's been great. When they trade off.
Right.
Hopefully they could stay healthy, because if they could stay healthy, I could say they could easily make the playoffs.
Their defense is good. They're putting a lot of guys around the net. When the other team's trying to score, and that never happened.
And their offense this year, it was so nice to see. I was sitting up in the nosebleeds in section 426, row W, I think it was, and just to stay. And it was actually nice.
He was watching it from South Bend.
I was, yeah,
50-yard line.
Yeah, and I was sitting up there and just watching them. How they were offensively. It wasn't the dump and chase anymore.
Right.
And it was just seeing how, we actually kind of have an offensive scheme tonight. It's like, I didn't see that with Carlisle. Even sometimes with Boudreaux, where it was just kind of like ours, the same kind of standard offense. But with them, I mean, it's fast. Their passes have been nice. The one thing that, they need to start gelling on is I hate to say it, but Manson needs to get a little bit tougher in front of the net. He needs to start hitting people. Lindholm needs to start, handling the puck a little bit better. But I mean, to start 4-2 right now, Bob Murray even said before the year even started, he goes, "We need to get off to a fast start," and they've done that, and they got a nice little home stand coming up starting tomorrow. Just get points at this time. Just get points, because people forget, Duck fans forget that massacre that happened out in Canada last year where they didn't win they didn't get a single point in that.
Right.
They get 2 points in that road trip, they still make the playoffs. That's how close they were making the playoffs last year.
Right.
So points are needed, and we've all said this as Duck fans, they start to turn on that second half of the year. So this is a crucial time right now to get to the holidays, get as many points as you can, and let's see where this team can go.
And I like the Gibson Miller. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
good backup goalie that we have.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I played in the Ryan Getzlaff golf tournament, and I talked to a couple players, and I said, are you happy with the coaching change? And quickly out of their mouth was, "We should have did it 2 years ago." Yeah. So they were wanting it. They were wanting a change 2 years ago. But what I like about it is the kids that are coming up know how he coaches,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And what's great about it is I know that you don't have you don't want a rookie going to a veteran, but you kind of say, "Hey, this is how he coaches down there. This is how we do things." And I would assume that there's a lot of these veteran guys that are really absorbing, some of these kids that played for him down in San Diego,
Yeah.
right? And I think that I think that's I would say a guy like Getzlaff, just another coach, right? And I think you can tell that they're like, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid just already. In 6 games they're drinking the Kool-Aid, and he's like, "Let's go."
Good chemistry. Seems like there's good chemistry in the room, and they're buying into his style, and there's a good mix of veterans and the young guys, and they got it's a speed game Murray wanted.
It's something the Angels should have done 6 years ago. That's what they. I mean,
when he got the coach from the San Diego Gulls,
and Bob Murray as their GM. Yeah, that's what they. I mean, just how they. I mean, and I'll be honest too. I mean, when they were doing the starting lineups on opening night, I kind of nudged my brother. I'm like, "Man, we're a lot younger than I thought we were," but it's a young in a good way. And the Montour trade for Gooley, that guy's been stepping up well. Larson's been good, so it's kind of that mixture where it's like, and I think they are drinking the Kool-Aid. And, for Ryan Miller, I don't know if you guys read that on the OC Register where, him and Murray, spoke because he was going to retire.
Right.
And they talked for an hour and a half, I guess, in his office. And, he goes, "This team's going to be a lot better than what, people are predicting." And that win in Columbus on Sunday was kind of a telling point of, okay, this is not a, young and rebuilding
short-handed
team.
goals.
Yeah.
No, it was good.
I mean, that made me very satisfied as being a Duck fan.
Yeah, it's encouraging to see him get off to a start because, like you said, they've always finished fast. They usually finish pretty good down the stretch. Are pretty good, but to get out with usually they're 11-21 or something.
Yeah, it's a rocky. Going into Thanksgiving and Christmas, you're like, oh gosh, and hopefully they can get a point against Arizona. But
Well, Vince isn't here, so we have nobody to talk about the Kings unless anybody has anything.
Well, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. There's some, and we've talked about it before on the show where there's some bad contracts there, and they're and they're just old, and they're going to be in trouble for I think a couple years.
Well, there's nobody they can trade because nobody's going to take those contracts.
The Doughty Doughty's going to be. I might have kids when the Doughty contract ends.
What was Kopitar? Didn't he sign 7-8 years or something a couple of years ago? Wasn't his contract 7-8 years?
Yeah, and then Doughty's was I think 8 to 9. I mean, it's and that's the thing too, where Quick. There was a time where Jonathan Quick was probably one of the best goalies in the NHL.
Oh,
now he's, average. I mean, he doesn't have. I mean, with all of his injuries, he doesn't have that same feel anymore.
Beat up, yeah. Exactly.
I mean, so that's where it's like.
Really, at the end of the year, they really rely on him a lot if they're in contention.
And I feel bad for them too. I mean, it's weird, but they started on that road trip. It was an 8 or 9 game road trip. I mean, they just had their opening night a couple days ago. It's like, holy cow, for a team that you think they'd have a couple home games before the season, but
exactly.
I don't know. It's gonna be. But looking at the standings today. It's still way too early. For the teams locally here, I'm putting money on Anaheim.
I'd rather be 4-2 than 2-3.
Yeah.
Well, the Lakers and the Clippers are going to
When's that start?
22nd Tuesday.
That's
I watched a little bit last night of the Lakers
Golden State.
Golden State, and it was kind of some ugly basketball. But I'll tell you, I'm very impressed with the way Dwight Howard's playing.
Yeah.
I think that's a great pickup. But I see Stockton's kids playing for him now,
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
a little bit, and but I think they're just trying to figure out their depth, right?
Yeah.
To be honest
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you, and but I think the Lakers' year is all based on health. I mean, look what just happened, with the sprained finger. So with Davis, and so
Do you have
I
any
just-
results on the MRI? For this?
Yeah, it was just a severe sprain.
So it's not going to be
no
serious.
surgery, no nothing. I think it's just rest.
I watched.
And I think all the starters, the big boys, all sat last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I watched the first game up in San Francisco, and I taped and watched one of the games in China. I like the way LeBron and Davis. And
Oh, yeah,
Anthony,
no,
they are
they're-
just
yeah.
awesome together.
yeah.
They are really going to be.
Well, I mean, it's just crazy if you put Howard in there with Davis. I mean, how big they can play, right?
Yeah.
So I think they have a lot of diversity on how they can do things. And they can play small, they can play big, and they can play what your normal type of. But it's. I think it's all based on health, and I think I'm not saying that you have to go into the strategy of what San Antonio does, but I like the way that he used to do things in the past, and I know that the NBA used to go down on him a little bit and kind of point the finger at him because the people pay money to see your stars, but I think if they get out to a quick start or whatever, resting your big guys is going to be key. And I thought that they're known for doing it the best. But I know that there's been like Saturday games, against Cleveland or whatever, and and they were sitting, some guys, and that might have to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's something that they really gotta think about. But I think because Golden State's down, it's a wild west.
It is.
Yeah,
Portland's
it's
good.
wide open.
Houston's good. The Clippers are good.
Utah,
Lakers
Denver.
are good.
Utah, Denver.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
They're just gonna beat the crap out of each other the whole entire.
The one concern I have right now is they have not addressed the long ball shooting. They went out and signed Quick and all these guys to come in and hit the three ball, and it hasn't happened yet.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't want everybody dropping back on AD and LeBron because the guys can't hit their threes out there.
Right.
It hasn't been very good so far.
Yeah.
What's
And
it?
I haven't seen anything really with the Clippers. I haven't seen a game.
Well,
I mean,
I don't even think they even played
Kawhi
Kawhi
played
yet?
for 11 minutes.
Did he?
The offense looked good, but then again though they're already talking about how much rest Kawhi's going to get. They're not going to have him come out guns ablaze in the first month of the season, so they're kind of resting his legs as well because George I don't think is going to be back.
No, he's got the
to
shoulder.
November, yeah. So, but everything you read and hear, they're picking the Lakers and Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. So
That would be fun.
that'd be
Yeah.
interesting. But I mean that West is gonna be real fun to watch.
Oh yeah, it's gonna
I
like you
mean-
say, it's gonna be wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open. What was I gonna say? I had a point to make about the NBA, and
I'm getting ESPN stuff. There's a draft going on right now for the XL.
Oh, the XFL.
XFL.
XFL
Yeah.
next spring.
QB Aaron Murray, Georgia, just got picked for the Tampa Bay Vipers. What is this? Is this like the AAA for football?
They're gonna try and make that. Yeah.
Vince
Wow.
McMahon
Yeah.
trying it again.
Is that who it is?
Yeah. Trying it again.
Wow. Top pick, tight end, Nick Trustel, GRCC. This is crazy. What's going on?
It looks like one last thing on the Lakers and Clippers. Looks like Memphis has finally realized that they can't trade Iguodala. It's going to have to be a buyout. They're going to buy him out because nobody's offering. The guy's 35 or something.
Yeah.
They can't get anything worthwhile, and he has said that his
You'd
two
like to go to
choices
the
are the Lakers and Clippers.
Yeah, I can see
I think he'd be a better fit with the Lakers. The Clippers got a lot of wing guys.
I wouldn't mind him if you can get him for cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you'd
Cheap.
have to.
Yeah.
But what do you do then? Now, you don't have any roster spots. The only thing you could do, you release Howard. Howard's got a not.
No, you keep him. You can release somebody else, can't
Well,
you?
Howard's got a non-guaranteed contract.
Right, I understand that. So
But I
why
don't
can't you
think-
release somebody else? Take him to the D League. Some of these young
Well,
G League.
yeah,
G-League,
D-League.
Can't say
Put
D
him on
anymore.
kids. My bad. Q League.
Can't say fired anymore. You have
Yeah.
to say dismissed.
So we'll see what happens on that. MLS playoffs start this weekend. Vince will be happy to know the season finally
Yeah.
has
Finally
concluded.
ended. Yeah.
It just seemed like it's only 34 games, but it seemed like 134.
I know.
But there's
Longer
only
than
one a week.
baseball.
That's
Yeah,
the problem.
yeah.
You know, one or two a
Well,
week.
plus they had 75 tournaments in between during the
Yeah,
league.
exactly. Yeah.
Seriously.
But the Galaxy will be at Minnesota on Sunday, and the winner of that game will be hosted by LAFC.
Oh, really?
LAFC is the number one seed.
So
So
the
they get-
Galaxy could be playing. Well, I wouldn't want. I'm telling you, I'd be rooting for Minnesota if I was
Yeah, exactly.
because that. I mean, that's just a. It's just a. You know, it's like a USC UCLA. I mean, you just throw out everything and just throw it up and. Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know if that was. So what is? How many? I'm so bad about MLS.
I am too.
First
There's,
one, how
uh,
many teams make the playoffs? Like, is that? Is
Seven.
is-
Seven in each league.
The
And then,
LAFC, they're the only one that gets a bye because they.
no, the first place team, New York Football Club, in the East
on the
gets
East,
a bye.
right? But both teams in the West and the East get a bye, right? And then,
First place teams, they got 7 teams in the playoffs.
so does that mean where
Or
did
18. Yes,
the Galaxy ended up where in the league? 3.
I think they
4,
were
2?
I think they were 5th, and Minnesota was 4th.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
4
so
and
it's
5,
four
and
and
3, 6, and 2,
But
7.
when they beat 2, okay, gotcha. All right.
But so the Galaxy get if I'm if I'm LAFC,
Yeah, I'm rooting
but
for
see,
Minnesota.
they get home field through the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
If they get to the final, they're at home. They have the best record, the most points.
Oh, so
The
they
entire
don't
league.
have a venue that is neutral.
No.
Oh, wow, that's great.
So the Bank of California would get that.
And that game will be
Banco
sold
Day.
out too,
Yeah.
instead of the Ram
Yeah,
game.
but they'll actually have
fans.
support.
Yeah.
they'll have LAFC.
Yeah, no, there you go.
Yeah.
There's a stadium that gets support,
Yeah.
right? And the same with the Galaxy
Yeah, they
True.
both 25,000 packed
of
every-
their own fans.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unless they meet the Galaxy, and then it's probably combined a little bit. But
Before we wrap it up, we got any golf going on?
no, it's still it's early. I mean, you want to say it's early, like the season just started, but it's October. And these guys are actually coming. Like Phil's over in Korea, and Tiger's doing charity stuff. It's just kind of all over the way. I think what's going to happen is you're going to start to see the top players start to play a lot in November because the President's Cup is in December. So there'll be guys trying to make that squad. Tiger hasn't really talked too much about it because it's still a couple months away, but probably by the middle to later next month, you'll start to see it energize a little bit more for it's in Australia.
It's in Australia, yeah.
Yeah, it's at Royal Melbourne, which is an unreal golf course. So, but I think guys like the Fowlers and the Justin Thomases, like they're playing. Ricky just got married. Ricky just got married last week. Yeah, down in Cabo, San Lucas. So
Were you down there? You have a place?
no. It just well, what happened was it was supposed to be in the Bahamas, and then it got rerouted because of the hurricane and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So they did it with the Discovery Line property down there, El Dorado. It's a great venue.
Not a bad second choice.
And those guys are like, hey, we're not going to. Okay, I'll just tell the plane to pick me up and take me that way. So. I was going to talk to Joe a little bit about it. A buddy of mine who knows him, because I guarantee you he was there. But overall, it's quiet. Yeah, I mean nothing really. Guys are just jockeying. The younger guys are jockeying for position. Another kid last weekend was another first time winner.
Right.
So it's just that kind of stuff's happening. So.
Okay. All right. We got anything else going on?
Breeders' Cup in a couple weeks out
Yeah.
Santa Anita.
The
Breeders'
Breeders'
Cup.
Cup, yeah.
Oh, we lost
Everything.
another horse.
Well, I mean, so far it's been okay, right?
It's been all right.
Yeah,
Everything's
yeah.
been fine.
Yeah.
That's right.
Haven't called 1-800-GAMBLER yet. But I will say, though, for the bettors that are out there, Mackenzie, Mike Smith isn't riding. They still don't have a jockey for that, so that might want to change your bets
Who
there.
did McKenzie? Or who did he jump
They don't
onto?
know yet.
No,
Oh, he
where's-
possibly Code of Honor who won. So we'll see. But
news just came in. Titans bench Marcus Mariota, and they will go with Ryan Tannehill against the Chargers, which is probably going to be another win for the Titans. Yeah, because they're playing the Chargers.
All right, if that is it, we are out.
Peace.
Come on, Stranger.
So what's up with Skaggs?
Why can't I get
There you go,
this?
Dad.
I can't get this,
Don't talk.
Justin.
Click on that. Right there. No, right there.
Where?
Right where my finger is. Right there.
God, I might throw money on Tennessee.
I never get it every time.
Click on that, and then you.
No, I gotta go.